I was 19 the first time I saw Hawthorne Ridge University, a quiet little campus tucked between rolling Pennsylvania hills and forests that turned red every fall. Looking back now, I should have paid more attention to how isolated everything felt that evening, how the trees leaned over the road like they were trying to whisper something to me. But I was too excited to notice anything, too proud, too hungry to prove myself. A full scholarship had pulled me out of my small hometown in Ohio and dropped me here, 3 states away, with nothing but 2 suitcases, and the kind of ambition that makes you think nothing bad can ever touch you. The admissions office gave me a map, a key, and a building name I had never heard before. The dorm was older than the others, a long brick structure pushed off to the side of campus, like someone had built it and then quietly tried to forget it. Most students walked in and out of the newer buildings, Stonebridge Hall, Lincoln House, but Westwood had no traffic, no chatter, no movement, just stillness and empty hallways that smelled faintly of old wood and coal dust. I found my room on the 2nd floor. The corridor lights flickered with that sickly orange tint older buildings get. There was no sound, not even a door closing somewhere, just my footsteps and the steady thump of my heart. The numbers were scratched, paint chipped, as if someone had tried to pry them off at some point. I slid the key in, turned it, and pushed the door open. It wasn't much. A twin bed, a small desk, a narrow window that faced a patch of trees and a slice of parking lot. Everything quiet. Too quiet. But it was mine. My space, my beginning. Or so I thought. The first strange thing happened 10 minutes after I walked in. As I opened my suitcase, a cold draft brushed across my back. Not like regular air moving, but like someone had exhaled right behind me. I turned around. The window was closed. The vent was silent. The room stood perfectly still, but somehow watching. I shook it off. Long trip. Tired brain. Old building? Nothing to worry about. Then I noticed something odd on the inside of the closet door. Faint marks etched into the wood. I leaned in closer. Not scratches, not vandalism. They were words, barely visible, carved lightly. Letters stacked on top of each other, like someone had written the same thing. Over and over. And over. Stay out of your head. I stepped back, heart kicking faster. Maybe someone before me wrote it. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe stress. I told myself all that and unpacked my clothes, trying not to stare at the closet, even though I could feel it like a presence behind my shoulder. That night, lying in my new bed, no roommate, no hallway noise, no comfort of home, I felt the stillness press against me from every side. And somewhere between midnight and sleep, I thought, or maybe dreamed, that I heard a soft knocking from inside the closet, slow, rhythmic, like someone tapping their knuckle against wood. I didn't open it. I didn't move. I just stared at the ceiling and told myself it was nothing, because I had just arrived. And real problems couldn't start on day 1, right? Classes started on Monday, but my real education began inside room 214. By the 2nd night, the room already felt wrong. Not haunted, not dramatic, just off. Like the air was heavier here than anywhere else on campus. I'd wake up every morning feeling like I hadn't slept at all. My head hurt. My chest felt tight. And every time I stepped into the hallway, that pressure lifted instantly, like someone had taken their hand off my throat. I kept telling myself it was stress. New environment, college nerves. But the room didn't let me forget it was different. That closet became the center of everything. On Tuesday night, I heard the knocking again. Not loud, not violent, just deliberate. Tap, tap, tap. Always after midnight, always from inside the wood. I finally stood up, walked toward it, hand trembling as I reached for the knob. The moment my fingers touched the metal handle, silence. The kind of silence that feels like someone holding their breath. I opened it. Nothing, of course, just the faint carving on the door. Stay out of your head. This time the words looked deeper than before, as if someone had carved another layer while I slept. I stepped back slowly, closed the closet, didn't touch it again that night. By Thursday, something new started. There was a small square mirror bolted above the desk. Cheap glass, slightly warped. The kind that makes your reflection look tired no matter what. I began noticing things in it that didn't match reality. A shadow behind me when the room was bright. My shoulders slumped when I was sitting upright. My eyes looking emptier than they should. The strange part? When I turned my head to check, everything was normal. But in the mirror, I always looked like I was carrying something heavy. Something I couldn't see. Friday afternoon, I took a nap before my evening class. I don't know if I was dreaming or half awake, but I heard whispering, too soft to understand, too close to ignore. It wasn't coming from the window, or the hallway, or outside. It was coming from inside the room, low, muffled, like two people arguing underwater. When I opened my eyes, the room was silent again. But the shape of the whispering, that rhythm, that urgency, burned itself into my head. I sat up, breathing heavy, trying to convince myself it was sleep paralysis. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. That night, I found something in the desk drawer, a little scrap of paper, old, yellowed at the edges, 4 words scribbled in dark ink. It starts in week 2. No name, no date, just that line. I froze, because tomorrow was the start of week 2. I stared at that note for a long time, feeling every heartbeat in my throat. Someone had left this here. Someone who lived in this room before me. Someone who knew exactly what was coming. And whatever this place was doing to me, the sleeplessness, the knocking, the whispers, the mirror, apparently, it was only the beginning. I don't know the exact day things changed. Looking back, it feels like it happened slowly. Then all at once, classes were fine. Homework was fine. Everything outside room 214 felt normal. But the second I walked into that room each night, something in my chest tightened, like the air itself didn't want me there. I kept telling myself it was stress, that it was normal for the brain to act weird in new places. But deep down, I knew this was different. It began with sounds. Soft ones? Barely there. A creak near the closet. A breath that didn't belong to me. A small knock inside the wall behind the desk. Every night. Same time, 2:17 a.m. Not loud enough to call it paranormal, just loud enough that I couldn't ignore it. I tried earplugs, music, white noise. Didn't matter. The room always found a way to press against me. It happened on a Thursday evening. I was sitting at the old wooden desk in room 214, trying to finish a reading assignment, when my thumb brushed something sharp under the edge. I pulled my hand back. A small cut. Confused, I leaned down with my phone flashlight. That's when I saw them. Scratches. Dozens of them. Deep, violent marks carved into the wood. At first, I thought it was vandalism. But the longer I looked, the more wrong it felt. These weren't random. They formed a shape. A messy, uneven circle, over and over, scratched obsessively in the exact same spot, until the wood splintered. My stomach dropped. I ran my fingers over it and felt how uneven the grooves were, how desperate. Like the person carving it wasn't trying to be artistic. They were trying not to lose their mind. My breath got stuck in my throat, because suddenly it hit me. Someone sat in this chair, in this exact position, going in circles, over and over, until the desk broke. My hands were shaking. I pushed the chair back so fast it toppled over. That's when I noticed something else. The scratches were fresh, not decades old, not worn out, fresh wood, like colored splinters. Like someone had carved it recently, maybe days before I moved in, or worse, maybe after. My chest tightened so hard I had to sit on the bed. I told myself not to panic, not to overthink. But something inside me whispered, he sat here, he scratched this, and you're next. 2 days later, things escalated. I woke up at 3:12 a.m. sweating, shaking. My nails hurt. My fingers burned. I turned on the bedside lamp. My hands were covered in tiny wooden slivers, fresh ones. For a moment I froze, my breath shallow and broken. I looked at the desk, and my heart nearly stopped. There were more scratches, more circles, twice as many, but I hadn't touched the desk. At least, I don't remember really touching it. I backed away until my shoulders hit the wall. I didn't want to look at the closet, but my eyes drifted there anyway. The words carved inside, the ones I told myself were a prank, felt suddenly alive. "Stay out of your head." My pulse hammered so loud it hurt. Why would someone write that? Why would someone carve circles until their fingers bled? Why was I waking up with wood splinters in my hands? And why did room 214 feel like it was waiting for me to break? When my father called, he could hear it in my voice immediately. "Ethan, you sound exhausted." "What's going on over there?" I almost told him everything. The room, the noises, the scratches. But the moment I opened my mouth, that same cold air swept across the back of my neck, the same breath I had felt on my first night. It felt like a warning, a pressure, a presence. So I lied. "Yeah, Dad. I'm fine. Just tired." He didn't buy it. He said he might come visit in a few days. I should have felt relieved. I didn't. Because something inside me whispered, "He won't reach you in time." And when I hung up, I noticed the closet door again, slightly open. Even though I always shut it before sleeping, my throat went dry. Because for the first time since I moved into Westwood Hall, I realized I wasn't alone in room 214. Not at night. Not anymore. I didn't go back to the dorm for 2 full days. Even when I finally convinced myself to return, I kept telling my brain the same thing. There has to be a logical explanation. Old building? Bad wiring, stress, imagination. But the moment I stepped inside my quarter, I knew logic had nothing to do with it. The smell was different, not musty, not dusty. Metallic, cold, like the inside of a hospital room. I closed the door behind me, slowly. This time, half expecting it to slam on its own again. It didn't. That almost scared me more. I walked toward the desk, the same one I found scratched earlier. Except now, the scratches were deeper, cleaner, almost fresh. And the lines weren't random anymore. They formed a shape, a crude outline of a person sitting at the desk, head lowered, as if writing. I don't know why, but my throat dried instantly. Then I heard it. Knock. But not from the door, from under the bed. I froze. Another knock. Slow, measured, like someone tapping with a single finger. I forced myself to kneel and lift the bedsheet. Nothing but darkness. I reached for my phone's flashlight, leaned closer, and then a breath. A warm breath exhaled onto my face. I jerked back so hard I hit the wall. My flashlight flickered, then stabilized. Still nothing under the bed, but something was wrong. Very wrong. All my notes, my class papers, had been scattered onto the floor. A page was sticking out from under the bed. I picked it up. It wasn't mine. It was old, yellowed, edges curled, handwriting rough and uneven. Only 5 words were written on it. "Don't stay here alone." My heart was hammering. I grabbed my bag and darted into the hallway. I didn't know where I was running, just away from that room. Halfway down the corridor, someone called after me. "Hey! You're in room 214, right?" I stopped. It was an older janitor. Mid-50s, heavy jacket, badge reading, Dale. I nodded shakily. He looked at me, really looked at me, and sighed. "I figured this would happen soon." My voice broke. "Happen? What are you talking about?" He scratched his neck, hesitant like he wasn't supposed to say anything. "Then, the guy before you, Evan Harper, he didn't transfer like they told you." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" Dale leaned in, lowering his voice. He didn't leave the dorm. He was taken out of it. I felt a chill run down my spine. "What happened to him?" I whispered. Dale glanced back toward my room, then at the floor, then at me. "You saw the scratches, didn't you?" My mouth went dry. "Yes?" He nodded slowly. "That's where it started for Evan too." I swallowed hard. My palms were sweating. "And what about the breath under the bed?" His face turned pale. "That's when Evan tried to warn the next one." I blinked. "The next one? You mean me?" He stepped back, suddenly nervous, eyes shifting around like something might be listening. "Listen, kid, if the quarter already knows your name, you need to get out before it decides you're staying." I didn't sleep that night. Not after seeing Evan's handwriting. Not after feeling someone breathe behind my ear. Not after hearing that whisper that didn't come from any human throat. By sunrise, I wasn't sure if I was losing my grip, or finally seeing the truth everyone else had tried to ignore. I wasn't going to wait for nightfall again. I needed answers now. Westwood Hall had a maintenance door most students never noticed. A steel door tucked behind a vending machine near the stairwell. Something told me to check it. Maybe instinct. Maybe insanity. Maybe Evan. The door wasn't locked. The air inside hit me like a wall. Cold, damp, dusty, and wrong. A staircase spiraled downward into a barely lit basement. Old records, abandoned furniture, broken fans, stuff the university didn't care about anymore. But in the back corner, behind a stack of boxed files, I saw something that didn't belong there. A small wooden table. The same shape, same size, just like the one in my room. Except this one still had the carvings on it. Dozens, hundreds. Overlapping scratches digging into the wood. Some deeper, some frantic. Some written so hard the table had split. He got in. Not me, not me, not me. My stomach dropped. These weren't words. They were, please no. And then my flashlight landed on something worse. A cramped mattress on the floor, with straps bolted into the concrete, like someone was held here, trapped. Not by a person. By their own mind. Or something living inside it. The boxes stacked near the mattress had labels. Counseling department cases, 1991-1992. My hands shook as I dug through them. One file stopped my breath. Evan Rhodes, Westwood Hall, room 214. Inside were therapy notes, thin and rushed. Severe sleep disturbances. Reports, someone else, thinking inside his head. Episodes of dissociation. Feels watched even when alone. Increasingly violent self-directed behavior. Moved to isolated quarters for safety. Student insists it's not me trying to get out. And then at the bottom, last seen in early December, disappearance unresolved. I froze. Evan didn't transfer. He didn't drop out. He disappeared. From the same room I was living in, I ran back upstairs. I don't know why. Instinct. Panic. A stupid urge to confront the thing head on. When I reached room 214, the door was already ajar. The air inside felt thicker than before, like the room wasn't empty anymore. Before I could step in, knock. From inside the closet, slow, measured, exactly like the first night. I lifted my hand toward the door, and it knocked again, this time matching my breathing. Like it knew, like it was answering, like it was syncing with me. I whispered, Evan? Silence. Then, from the other side of the wood, not Evan. The voice was wrong, like someone trying to speak through a throat that didn't belong to them. I staggered back, my vision blurred around the edges. A loud pressure built inside my skull, like something pushing its way to the front of my mind. And then I heard my own voice whisper, except my lips didn't move. Let me in. I bolted from the room, down the stairs, out the building, into the cold morning air until my lungs burned. I didn't go back for my clothes. I didn't go back for my map. I didn't go back for the key. I didn't even withdraw from the university. I just left. Walked straight across campus and kept walking until I reached the highway. 3 days later, my parents picked me up from a gas station in Ohio. I never explained. Never returned to Hawthorne Ridge. Never opened a closet at night again. But sometimes, when I'm alone too long, I still hear it. A soft knock in the back of my mind. Slow, rhythmic, patient. And every time, I whisper the only words Evan left behind for me. Stay out of your head.